Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Try to scam me out of $350 for an Xbox? Let's destroy your social life. This happened 2 years ago. I bought an Xbox and some games for $350 on the Norwegian version of eBay. The package doesn't get delivered. He first says it's just delayed, and a few weeks go by and I start getting worried. He stops answering my messages and I realize he scammed me. He used his real name in the post, so I found him on Facebook. So I messaged 10 of his closest friends and family there about the situation, and a few hours later he responds saying he'll send it tomorrow. Again, a few days go by and nothing. No response. So this time I message him saying that I want my money back, and I messaged 25 to 30 of his friends. A lot of people start to respond. One of his friends says that this is illegal pressuring him like this, and that he hustled me so I should just take the loss, and that he wipes his butt with $350. Really classy group of people. He finally responds saying he gets paid in a few weeks, so he will pay me then. I see a new motorcycle in his profile picture and I tell him to get lost. I want the money now. A lot of people start responding to my messages saying that they will contact him about it. Some are defensive, his girlfriend and parents, and some see it but don't respond. Another month goes by and I have not received any money. One of his friends sent a message saying he told me he never received money from you. And I sent screenshots of the payment and conversation. He says, Since the messaging from other people has at least gotten him to respond back to me, I then send very convincing screenshots to his whole Facebook friends list of over 250 people. They will all see he clearly tried to scam me out of money. Very quickly, I get a text back saying, okay, I'll send back the money, please stop just messaging people. I get my money back. And over the past few years, I have had many people accept my message, see it, and told me they would contact him. Even his landlord said he hasn't received payment. I would go and talk to him and had used my messages against him. A year later, he pleads for me to stop texting people. He thinks I'm still going at it since he keeps receiving new messages. This Norway is so isolated into small towns and everyone knows each other and there is so little crime. Theft is extremely frowned upon and stigmatizing in a social death sentence. Not only did I get my money back, but I got some proper revenge and he's still facing consequences to this day. Next story. Entitled Ex-Girlfriend Wants the Engagement Ring I Never Gave Her because she broke up with me before I could propose. Gets arrested for her troubles. This is an old story. A while back I was dating this girl for roughly 2 years. I thought things were going great, but apparently she was just dating me because she liked to tell people she was in a relationship. No, that's how it went with her. The way she described me was too immature and honestly not worth the rest of my life. Exact words she said to a friend of hers after we broke up. Anywho, I'm getting ahead of myself. I went out and bought a ring. Had this entire thing planned out to propose to her. However, she was suddenly not available for several weeks in a row. Well, my fears rang true as she suddenly showed up at my place one day and she acted like everything was normal as we talked and she was grabbing everything that was hers. About halfway through, I just kinda looked at her and said, "Don't forget your hair dryer. It would be awkward to have to come back over after you dump me." This sparked a long and awkward conversation where she was fake crying. I had realized right then and there that I was an idiot. The way she acted, the way she spoke, and the way she treated me just screamed that she did not care. I was devastated, but seeing her made me angry. I had realized she was lying to me this entire time. About a month later, a friend of hers called me up, asked if she could come over to talk. I asked why, and she said my ex pissed her off and she wanted to tell me some things. My mind goes to horrifying things like she needs to warn me I need to see a doctor or things like that. Well, her friend came over and we chatted for a bit. See, her friend was beyond pissed off. Talking ending the relationship pissed off at her. So her way to get back at her friend was to get with her ex-boyfriend. Me being in my mental state, I said yes. More like I said, sure, yeah, we can do that. So she ends up staying over for a few days as we get to talking about my ex. I told her about the ring and she had the best idea to get back at my ex. Let us post a picture of ourselves with a ring in between us. Yeah, I thought it was a terrible idea, but I wanted my ex to feel bad, so well, there you go. Not even 2 hours later, my ex was at the door. We posted the picture at like 11 a.m. and she was at my place at 12:40 something. Right off the bat, she tried to act like breaking up with me was a mistake. She said that I was the best boyfriend she ever had, and she was getting scared with how serious things were getting. She said she made a terrible mistake in breaking up with me. Well, her friend immediately goes into a rant about my ex, saying that she was manipulative and that neither of us would believe the sub-story she was giving. Gotta say, I'm very glad her friend was there cause I was being too dumb and was believing my ex. I reminded her of how she treated me when she broke up and that she should go home. That she was wasting her own time. Well, now she brought up the ring. Said that she owed it under the law. Said that rings are gifts and that I cannot take it back. In unison, me and her friend said that I never give it to her. We both looked at each other and laughed a bit as the absurdity of the situation was getting outrageous. She said she was owed that ring and that she was not leaving without it. At about this time, a police officer came up the stairs wanting to know what the trouble was. I guess we made enough noise that neighbors called the police. The female officer asked what the situation was. Everyone tried to talk at once, and the officer shut us down, pointed to my ex and asked her what the problem was. She said she was trying to pick up her stuff after we broke up. She asked me if it was true, and I explained the situation, how my ex broke up with me before I had the chance to propose, and that she was never given the ring. Throughout the conversation, 2 more officers showed up, one a supervisor. The whole story was explained 4 times. At one point, my ex said that the money from the ring will let her pay off her car. Ever see a moment when someone says something so outrageous that everyone looks at them in utter disgust? I responded with that the ring isn't expensive. It was bought used off a website. And I reminded her that I'm an IT tech. So this wasn't a ring that was 10 to 12k. Or like 1k, 1.5. The anger and rage that came over her face was immediately apparent to everyone. She stepped forward and punched me in the chest and kicked at me before being tackled to the ground by the female officer. The supervisor on scene told us to go inside while they get her under control. We did, and about 10 minutes later they came back. They wanted my statement, and I told them I want to press charges against her. And they said yeah, we saw it too. So it's being processed. And she ended up getting a misdemeanor offense for it. Next story. Colleagues tried to get me fired in the worst way possible. For some unknown reason, one day 2 colleagues of mine decided that they wanted me and another colleague fired. I am not sure why exactly, as we've always gotten along pretty well. We work from home, but we do visit the office from time to time. In those instances, we joke around, discuss stuff, and there is generally a really good vibe between everyone, them and us included. Lately, though, it came to light that they have been messaging our manager constantly, reporting every little error in our work. They have even started to threaten to resign if we aren't removed from either the team or the company as a whole. This came out of nowhere, really. Now, as developers, we have to review each other's work for it to be approved and merged. They started boycotting us and refusing to review our work for almost a month at this point. This makes our work fall behind a lot and make us look really bad. Our manager had talks with me and the other colleague about us falling behind and having to focus more. He explained how the colleagues have lost faith in our work and straight out refused to review it. The situation was escalating quickly with talks of us, me and the colleague, being moved to another team as a solution. We were both really angry and really confused as to why this situation was even present in the first place. Things looked very bad for us. Regular revenge time. I'm sure that after reading all of this, you're probably thinking that these two are extremely committed to their work and just don't like us. Things couldn't be further from the truth. Me and the other colleague are senior developers, while these two are barely mid. On top of that, they slack off like crazy and don't do much work, especially with the whole boycott thing. And this week, everything aligned perfectly. Let's call them Douche A and B. Douche A is on holidays this week and leaving Douche B completely alone for the whole fiasco. Douche B had a task and review, on which I left a really small and tiny comment, asking Douche B to move a closing parenthesis, as this was part of the standards that the team has agreed on. He responded that this is not a standard, judging by the code base. I responded back stating that this is a standard, as we have agreed on one of our regular meetings. He ignored it. On the next day, at our daily stand-up meeting, we discussed the open tasks and we finally got to his task. I explained that he had a small comment to resolve and that it was good to merge it. It was suggested that I approve the task so that Douche B can address the comment and merge it faster, as we are tight on time. I agreed and he said nothing. He kept quiet. Wouldn't you know it? He did not address the comment but merged the task anyways. Bingo! On the next day, when we got to his task, he announced that the task was done and that we can mark it as such. I intervened, pointing out that he did not address my comment and merged the task anyways. Now there are a lot of things he could have said, like, "My bad, it slipped my mind," as this is a completely acceptable answer and a lot of people wouldn't bat an eye. But he couldn't do that, could he? He instead got very aggressive and said things like, "I've addressed the comments that I've deemed relevant, and that's your opinion," in front of everyone. Needless to say, no one was on his side on this. We decided not to argue and leave it for a retrospective meeting that we have every 2 weeks. The next time that this meeting would take place, the same day. The purpose of this meeting is to write notes for around 15 minutes in 2 columns. Went well and to improve. Afterwards, we read each entry and elaborate on it. Blast off time. I went off, writing key points about this whole situation and how extremely unprofessional their behavior is. I explained that the problem is how they, more precisely Douche B, handled the situation and didn't even engage with the colleagues, opting to get aggressive and ignore team decisions, working as he alone seemed fit. We also mentioned a few times about this petty boycott. I mean, really, we're professionals being paid to do our job, not kids in school refusing to talk because they don't like each other. Basically, the whole team, including the managers, ripped Douche B a new one, without him saying a single word during the whole meeting. The discussion ended with that people who resort to such measures have no place in this team. Lovely. I got in touch with the manager today and we talked a lot about it. This was 100% personal, and he, and I'm guessing everyone at this point, knows it. Everyone is extremely displeased with them And the next time they try something like this, they will get fired. At the end though, me and my colleague will be moving to the new project. I know, but I actually prefer things this way, as the other project is way cooler and interesting. Since it's a new project, they will need senior developers to start it anyways, and he wouldn't want those two there. The only thing he was worried about was them trying something like this with another colleague, which would be left with those two. But then again, if they try something like this again, it will be the end for them. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Next story. The only Michael's employee is Scrubs. Y'all bear with me. It's a long one, but this was a situation I never imagined myself in. Background. A few years ago, I worked for a small local daycare and our uniforms were scrubs, just like nurses would wear, but we could pick our colors. This day, I was wearing navy blue scrubs, white tennis shoes, and my work badge with a daycare name on it. After work, I stopped by Michael's to pick up some paints. There was another older lady. We will call her Innocent Shopper. She was in the aisle with me, minding her own business, also looking at paint. I see a buggy turn around the corner and come towards me. "Excuse me." Thinking I was in her way, I say, "Oh, sorry. I was just looking at the paints," and step to the side to get out of her way. "Excuse me." She says it louder. "Don't ignore me. That is rude and unprofessional." I look up, confused. Yes, ma'am?" "I need the hot glue gun." Confused, okay. "Well, where are they?" "I have no idea." Obviously annoyed now, she says, "What kind of answer is that? Isn't it your job to know? Are you new here? Did they not train you, or do you just not care?" Realizing she thought I worked there, I say, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I don't work here." She calls out to the Innocent Shopper, "Can you believe this kid is going to stand here and lie to my face like that?" The old lady looks at this lady like she's nuts, turns and walks out of the aisle without saying a single word. The crazy lady turns back to me and says, "Look, if you want to play this game, then take me to your manager." "Ma'am, I don't work here. Look at my badge. I'm not even in their uniform." "I cannot get over your arrogance. Take me to your manager now." An actual employee appears with the Innocent Shopper trailing behind her. "Is everything okay over here?" "Absolutely not. Go ahead and tell him how you've been acting. Ignoring a customer, lying to a customer, and then refusing to let me speak to a manager. Tell him." "I'm really sorry, employee, but..." I tried to tell her that I don't work here and cannot help her. "Ma'am, this is not an employee. She's wearing scrubs. We wear these red shirts." The crazy lady looks back and forth between me and the employee a few times, turns bright red, tears fill her eyes, grabs her purse out of her cart and sprints past us. The employee then apologized profusely and thanked the old lady for going to get him. Also gave me half off on my whole purchase. What an idiot that was. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.